Hello, and thank you for pressing play. You are not going to be sorry with my conversation with the brilliant, fearless, courageous, hilarious, iconic author of the already New York Times bestselling book, Not My Type. Jean Carroll is fearless, and today she is my guest. We had a great conversation, went live on YouTube and Twitter and a whole bunch of other platforms that I'm experimenting with regularly on Tuesday afternoon. And so I'm really happy to share this with you right now. I also want to let you know that I'm going to take the rest of the week off from the news segment, which I do every day. I do headlines and clips. It is a tremendous amount of work, hours and hours every day. I'm giving myself a little time off for the next 3 days headed into the July 4th weekend. I hope that you are as well, but I will be bringing you these great guests that I've been talking to this week that will not stop on the regular every day, maybe even more than one each day. That is not where the bulk of the work lies, where I always prepare a lot, as I did to talk to with my conversation with both Jean Carroll and Karen Elliott House, who I spoke to earlier about her new book about Mohammed bin Salman. A lot of prep goes into it, obviously booking these guests, but editing and posting and producing the show is where the bulk of the work is. So I'm always happy to share these interviews, which I love doing. Today was just so great. I was so honored to talk to Jean Carroll today about her new book. I hope that you'll get it. I hope you'll subscribe to her Substack. She was also just so loose and confident and hilarious and made me feel great about myself. She was so kind and generous with her compliments to me, both on the record and after I pressed stop, and to her publicist. So that certainly made me feel real good. And I hope that it makes you feel good supporting my work because of the credibility that I've had throughout the years of interviewing guests like her, which creates the ability to book them, to get them here on the program. And I do prepare a lot to ask the questions, including reading much of Jean Carroll's new book. And so I hope you like it. At one point, about 15 minutes in, we lose our connection because she slammed her desk so hard. I vamped, and then she comes back, and I keep it in because I think it was real. It was a thing that happened. It was only about a minute. I think it's pretty funny. She's hilarious. She's inspiring. I love this conversation, and I'm taking the rest of the week off from the news, so I hope you're cool with that. I appreciate your support. Can't do it without you here on Patreon. Also now going to start posting on Substack. If that's annoying, you're getting a lot of emails, opt out of one or both of the emails. I know that can be annoying, but it's going to be really important to support me on Substack because that's the best place to be discovered. YouTube and Substack, as far as I can tell right now. Also, thanks everybody who joined us at last night's Monday Night Hangout. We had a lot of fun. J.L. Covan stopped by, but we had some great discussions, some great points being made by several brilliant folks, including our new friend Eric, who joined us at the beginning. If you want to watch it and you are a paid subscriber, you'll get a link included in today's show post for this episode. Now, before I get to my conversation with Jean Carroll, to make it a little bit more interesting and give it more context, I took the audio from an amazing 18-minute documentary made by Brave New World, which is an interesting progressive documentary company. Brave New Films, and they made this documentary. It's called Jean Carroll v. Donald J. Trump, and they use famous actresses, including Ellen Burstyn, Catherine Hahn, Lexi Underwood, and Regina Taylor, to bring to life the courageous testimony of Jean Carroll, who, of course, sued former president in 2019 for sexual assault, battery, and defamation. Trump was found liable for sexual abuse and defamation. As of 2024, he'd been ordered to pay a total of $88.3 million in damages. And so I thought that it would be great to share the audio from this film. This is about 17 minutes long. It's also very triggering. If you are a victim of sexual assault or rape, this is potentially very triggering for you, and you might want to just skip ahead because Jean and I don't discuss the details that you are about to hear here. But I think this gives a lot of context, and it makes the interview a lot better. I didn't include this in the videos that I shared, but I am going to include it here for podcast listeners. All right. Again, this is bravenewfilms.org, where you can watch this, which is even more powerful than just the audio. If you don't want to listen to it, you skip ahead. The interview starts at about 21 minutes, but here it is from Brave New Films.
I'm going to walk you through the evidence that you heard in this case. My job and your job is straightforward. Stick to the facts, to the evidence, and to the law.
How old are you?
79.
79.
79.
How frequently would you shop at Bergdorf Goodman?
I would tend to go to Bergdorf's once or twice a year for the sale. He came through the door and he said, "Hey, you're that advice lady." I said, "Hey, you're that real estate tycoon." He said, "I need to buy a gift. Come help me. Come help me. Come advise me."
Did you agree?
I was delighted.
Why?
Well, it was such a funny New York scene. I'm a born advice columnist. I love to give advice, and here was Donald Trump asking me for advice about buying a present.
What did you do?
I said, okay. Donald Trump was being very light, and it was very joshy and pleasant and very funny. The door was opened. That door has plagued me for years because I walked into it.
That open door has plagued me for years because I just walked into it. Just walked in.
What happened once you entered the dressing room?
He immediately shut the door and shoved me up against the wall and shoved me so hard my head banged. I didn't want to make a scene. I know that sounds strange. I didn't want to make him angry at me. I didn't want to stop what started out as something light and fun and comedic. I remember he was very large, and his whole weight came up against my chest and held me up there, and he leaned down and pulled down my tights.
At any point during this encounter, did you scream?
I'm not a screamer. He had pulled down my tights, and his fingers went into my vagina, which was extremely painful. Extremely painful. It was a horrible feeling because he curved. He put his hand inside of me and he curved his finger. As I'm sitting here today, I can still feel it.
Then what happened?
Then he inserted his penis. I could certainly feel that pain.
Sitting here today, how do you feel about your decision to go into that dressing room?
It was very stupid. It left me unable to ever have a romantic life again. I had to tell Lisa. After she heard he had pulled down my tights, she asked me, did he insert his penis? I said, yes. And then Lisa said the words. She said, he raped you. He raped you, E. Jean. You should go to the police.
Did you go to the police?
No.
Why not?
Because I was ashamed. I thought it was my fault.
Why did you think it was your fault, Miss Carroll?
Because I was flirting with him and laughing. It was high comedy. It was funny. And then to have it turn into the...
What did you do the next day?
I went to work.
You didn't skip work?
No.
Why not?
I'm a person who always looks on the bright side, and I tried to find something that would help me get over this horrible thing.
Who, if anyone at work, did you tell what happened?
Carol Martin was an anchorwoman at ABC in New York. I took her through step by step what happened, and Carol is a very unjudgmental, open-hearted friend. But she gave me her concern was very different than Lisa's. Carol's concern was, do not go to the police.
Did she explain that advice?
Yeah, she said, keep it to yourself. He has 200 lawyers. He will bury you.
What did you say?
I agreed with Carol.
Why did you stay silent for so long?
I was frightened of Donald Trump. I thought he would retaliate. I was ashamed. I thought it was my fault.
Were you afraid of how others might react?
Women who are raped are looked at as soiled goods. People say, oh, you're so brave. You're so brave. But really they are thinking, I don't know, she should have been smarter. Or, I don't know, she should have screamed. Or maybe that dress she was wearing Maybe she flirted too much.
And what about your family? Did you tell them?
No, never.
Why wouldn't you tell your family?
We didn't talk. My family is very upbeat. We are all for having a great time. We do not discuss anything that would cause my parents or my sisters and brothers to feel badly.
I'm sorry to ask this so directly, but have you had sex since Donald Trump assaulted you?
No.
Could your age have been a reason why you never had sex again?
I don't think so. You know, I feel young. I'm a young 79. I think it's because flirting ended up as the worst decision of my life.
The worst decision of your life? What is that a reference to?
Going into that dressing room.
How do you feel about not having been in a relationship since the mid-90s?
I feel I've lost out. I'm sorry. I'm a happy person, basically, but I'm aware that I've lost out on one of the glorious experiences of any human being. Being in love with somebody, making dinner with them, walking the dog together. I don't have that. I'm just cuddling on the sofa, watching TV and eating popcorn. I'm aware of how much I've lost.
How often, if at all, do you think about the assault that night at Bergdorf's?
Just recently, I pulled over to the side of the road on my way home because, well, it was late and I thought I would rest my eyes and just take a quick nap. I closed my eyes. I must have fallen asleep because when I woke up, I felt Donald Trump again on top of me. His huge... I thought for a minute I was going to die because I couldn't breathe. That's the sudden, horrible kind. But normally I would be cooking pasta or just going about my normal day. And in would slide just a picture of him going like this into the dressing room or hitting my head.
With whom, if anyone, do you discuss these visions when they occur?
Nobody.
Why not?
Well, I don't want to ruin somebody else's day.
Why didn't you speak publicly about the assault when he first started running for election?
My mother was dying in Indiana. I was at her side with my brothers and sisters.
What is your opinion of Donald Trump today?
He is vile.
And when you're a star, you can do anything. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. Grab them by the pussy.
How, if at all, did the fact that Donald Trump was president affect your decision to include him in this book?
Well, it was the very fact that he was president that made me really pause over doing it. I just said, Jean, don't be chicken.
Do you recall how Donald Trump responded after the excerpt was published online?
Yes.
I don't know her. I never met her. I have no idea who she is. I have absolutely no idea who she is.
This woman is a disgrace, totally false. It was fake. She's a fake.
It's a made-up, fabricated story.
She is not my type.
And what do you understand that to mean, Miss Carroll, that you're not his type?
I'm too ugly to attack. Too ugly to rape. People have gone through much worse than being reviled by President Trump. I understand that. But boy, it hit me. And it laid me low.
Have you received positive support since Mr. Trump made those statements?
Yes. Loving, heart-swelling letters coming from people all over the country. You know, it bore me up. But here's the thing. The vileness and the dirt and the seedy language and people describing what they think I did and why nobody in the world would touch me because of my enormous ugliness. It sort of swamped the heartfelt letters that I was receiving on the other hand. It is very hard to get up in the morning and face the fact that you're receiving these messages. You are just too ugly to go on living. Normally, a story about a man in the Times would not have affected me, but the reaction to the bombshell in the Times from women around the country was startling. It was like a wave broke. I thought, okay, 76 years of being silent. I'm done with being silent.
Sitting here today, are you happy you have spoken publicly about what Mr. Trump did to you, or do you regret it?
I have regretted this about 100 times, but in the end, being able to get my day in court finally is everything to me.
Have you enjoyed the attention you have received from this case?
Getting attention for being raped is not, it's hard. Getting attention for making a great 3-bean salad, that would be good.
Do you ever regret bringing this lawsuit?
About 5 times a day.
Why?
I thought I would just take a peek at my Twitter, and there it was again, the onslaught of the liar, slut, ugly, old. But I couldn't have been more proud to be here.
We will hear closing argument on behalf of the plaintiff. Ms. Carroll is represented by Roberta Kaplan.
In the spring of 1996, Donald Trump sexually assaulted her. Like many women in her situation, Ms. Carroll tried to suppress what had happened to her. Donald Trump's response was both brutal and immediate. Ms. Carroll must have been lying because she was too ugly or too unattractive for him to sexually assault. The real question is how to measure that harm he caused. There is the reputational harm that Miss Carroll suffered. The very heart of her success was her reputation for honesty and integrity. While Miss Carroll built that career over 5 decades, Donald Trump shattered it in less than 24 hours. His June 21 and June 22 statements alone reached at least 100 million and probably many more than 100 million people. The damage he caused was significant, so the cost of repairing that damage is significant too. The second category of compensatory damages is where you need to decide how much to award Miss Carroll for the pain and suffering that she has been experiencing. Imagine knowing that all these people out there hate you. They all want you to be raped or killed, wondering if they live across the street or right down the street, always worried that one day someone would act on these threats. The whole point of punitive damages is to punish a defendant who has acted maliciously to stop him and others like him from acting in a similar manner in the future. Donald Trump walked out of this courtroom and then out of the courthouse to hold a press conference. During that press conference, while you were sitting in this jury box, he told even more lies about Miss Carroll.
This is a person I have no idea, until this happened, obviously, I have no idea who she was, and nor could I care less. It's a rigged deal. It's a made-up, fabricated story.
The one thing that Donald Trump cares about is money. While Donald Trump may not care about the law, while he certainly doesn't care about the truth, he does care about money. I know that you will do the right thing and stand up not only for E. Jean Carroll, but for the principle that the rule of law applies to all of us, even the rich and powerful, even Donald Trump.
We're coming on the air with breaking news, a ruling in the federal defamation trial against former President Donald Trump.
The jury has ordered Trump to pay E. Jean Carroll $83.3 million.
$83.3 million.
$65 million for punitive damages.
That is a gut punch to Donald Trump.
Between both trials, Trump now owes a combined $88.3 million.
I was jumping up and down.
The women grabbed back, and E. Jean Carroll grabbed them by the pocket.
It takes a great deal of courage. It paid off.
It was a beautiful thing and very, very moving.
A feeling of hope that when you tell the truth, you can be believed.
It is about women and survivors all across this country.
Was really doing this so that it couldn't happen to other women.
For thousands and thousands of other women.
This was for victims everywhere.
When someone marks you like this, it doesn't go away. There is finally one, but I'm damn glad for this one.
I'm overwhelmed with joy and happiness and delight for the women in this country. It's about every woman.
All right. Well, powerful, right? Even more powerful to see it. BraveNewFilms.org if you want to. Here now, my conversation with this icon, trailblazer, living legend, E. Jean Carroll, for the first time ever on Stand Up with Pete Dominic. Oh, my goodness. A legend. You are a living legend. I am so excited. And don't look around. It's just you in that cabin and a bouncy ball. And I am so honored to talk to you, E. Jean Carroll. Congratulations on you and your integrity and your courage and your humor and this already New York Times bestselling book. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. My God, I'm excited.
I mean, how do you see what you've done here, traveled through all of your trauma and pain to cast a light for others to fight?
No, other people are casting their light on me. That's how I am, just here soaking up the light beams from other people. That's what I'm doing.
Well, you say that because two things can be true. You are the person who stepped up to do all that you have done as publicly and as courageously because there's been no shortage of threats. So in many ways, you are the light, at least one of the lights. You like to give it the light to everybody else, but I'm giving it to you and you cannot deny it.
Thank you. Well, a tiny little. My light is only shining, Pete, because everybody else is sitting in their houses on their lazy asses.
What do you mean by that? The other, who's everyone else? Those of us who are not doing enough?
Yeah, no, there are 350 million Americans who are just watching this thing go down. So my little light looks bigger, but it's not. It's just it's like a firefly, in the middle of the night. So no, that's why.
Okay, but let me press you one more time by just asking this way. What have you heard from people, Americans, women, and sexual assault survivors since you came out publicly and have told your story? What have you heard from those people? I know you've heard a lot of threats and terrible things and insults, which are hilarious because you always know the person saying that shit is living, is hates himself. But what have you heard from the kindness of strangers?
Well, when the book came out, it was stunning. People were astounded. Yeah. And everybody was laughing. That's the thing. It surprised me. First of all, the book was a total secret. Nobody knew it was going to drop. And then it came right down into the middle of nowhere. And it's the thing that blew people away was that nobody wants to do anything about sexual assault. It's like, but this book is funny.
You're not allowed. You're not allowed to be funny about sexual assault.
No, you're not allowed. And this is, of course, deadly serious. But the 5 years around the two trials, high comedy from the beginning to the end.
I needed you almost in a way. I've been studying you and watching you as a comedian. I so appreciate your humor. You actually were a writer on SNL. I mean, like, you've been a hilarious person your whole life, and we could talk about why, but I needed your permission to laugh. I knew you wanted me to laugh as a reader, but I actually almost felt like, I can't believe I'm laughing at this, but
you're laughing.
Yeah.
It's because, you know what? Because it's absurd. It's absurd. And if we don't laugh, what are we going to be? You know what? It's never going to do anybody any good to be sitting in a corner. You can't. Doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So you come up, and the way to rise and to actually see what's going on is to laugh. Right? That's what you do. This is what you do every day. You take some news, and then you build a little story around it. Then you make people laugh. And then pretty soon we're considering what you just said about the news. We take it more seriously, and it's lighter. Am I way off here?
No, this is the exact, I said it almost exactly the same way when people ask me over the years. I worked at The Daily Show for 6 years with Jon Stewart. I worked at The Colbert Report for years, and then I worked with John Oliver, and people ask about that style of humor, and I say exactly what you just said. It fights apathy. It gets people to care about issues they wouldn't otherwise care about.
And then well, first of all, you get everybody going before the show would even start.
Right.
You get them riled up and expecting to start to laugh about some very serious issues. But that's how it's done. Yeah, exactly.
I was the fluffer.
Yeah.
I was the fluffer for many men.
And
Joan Rivers. That's right. I fluffed Joan Rivers, her audience.
You're kidding. You fluff for Joan Rivers?
I fluffed for 2 of her Comedy Central pilots, and then she asked me to open for her. And so that's a legendary story of my career, because I bombed in Atlantic City in front of 1,200 Joan Rivers fans. And the only laugh I heard was her legendary cackle laughing at my bomb. And it's the only thing I needed. And I felt validated.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, what time did you go on? That's
well, it was her audience. And I was doing, it was years ago. I was doing some George Bush's stupid material, and they didn't like it, but she loved it. Joan loved it. And then she went on and did the most offensive 9/11 humor I've ever heard and killed, because she's Joan Rivers.
Yeah. What?
Did you know her?
No, but I know Kathy Griffin, who worships her.
Oh, yeah. Hilarious. But I wonder, because you're also such a hilarious woman. I imagine you were in New York around the same time. So we established the book is hilarious. The book is brilliant, and you're courageous. But I mean, and it was a secret. Why did you keep it a secret that you were working on this book from even your closest friends?
Yeah, it was odd. Even my editor and I worked over Signal. I mean, we didn't want the White House to hear about it.
Right.
Also, when you have a secret, it's a powerful thing. And it just drove me. I loved writing it because I knew nobody in the world knew it was going to come.
You talk about the trials specifically. You have this amazingly readable, entertaining, tragic at times narrative, of course, the characters, the lawyers, but also the depositions. And you include a lot of the transcripts that you didn't even have to write around. Just us as readers reading the transcripts of what happened how would you describe that?
Oh, you know, when I saw the trial transcripts and the deposition transcript, it read like a high comedy. It read like it was even funnier than an SNL script, because they were not very funny, because they get punched up after read through. As you know, you have the read. So the transcripts were so absurd and so hilarious. For instance, the deposition where Alina Habba, Esquire, Trump's most beautiful attorney, starts out by asking me, E. Jean, would you mind telling us who everybody you've slept with? Do you have a list? Do you know how many you've slept with? And that's how it starts. That's how the book starts. And Alina Habba thought she was shaming me. And Alina Habba thought I would be mortified. And Pete, what is the one thing I love talking about? I love talking about all the guys I liked. and all the guys I loved, and everybody, I had mad, passionate sex with. So that's how we started. Alina Habba failed at her mission to make me feel like a skank hiding in a cellar, and it goes up from there.
I mean, the opening of the book is that deposition, but you show us what you said in deposition, which was brief answers. But the reader gets to hear about the 8 men who got to be the privilege of being your lover or in your space in that way, in any way. And it is one of the craziest, best, most vulnerable, hilarious, thoughtful, and I guess, like, what's the word to describe? Like, you owned each relationship, each affair, each moment. You really owned it, and you bragged about it, and you feel proud of it. But tragically, you say after Trump assaulted you, you were never with a man again. That's the point.
That's the point.
You enjoyed sex, intimacy,
loved it,
and the assault.
It's the greatest gift we have.
Yeah. And you detail it in the book. You talk about those relationships, which is fascinating, but also heartbreaking because you didn't continue with that pursuit.
No. And you would think I could figure out why I can't get past it, but I can't get past it. Even though I know, I know what I'm doing wrong. I know that it makes no sense, but I can't get past it.
Because he assaulted you, because Donald Trump assaulted you.
Well, it goes back to that. I can't in any way meet a man who's age appropriate, who I would in normal times think, wow, he's interesting. No, I look down and I do not engage.
Really? So if a man now came up to you, and I'm sure they have, and especially now that they think you're going to be rich, bunch of losers, and they start coming on to you, like has it not happened, or you're just not?
Well, it happens, but I immediately defect, immediately look down, and do not engage. And so that's not very fun for the guy. No. They very quickly lose interest. But that's what I do, because the last time I flirted my brains out, what happened? And I know this is the reason. I know it. And this control tower in my head just cannot force me. And I had one of the best therapists in the country, because I'd never been to a therapist before, Pete, because I get over stuff, right?
Well, you write about how you get over stuff, but I have a hard time believing that it works fully.
Yeah, she gave me steps, but I can't even do it. I can't do it.
So how long ago was it that you went to therapy? You said you hadn't gone. You went.
No, I never. No, I was forced to go. Remember, Trump hired a
doctor.
80-some-year-old
doctor. Like, no one would do what they were asking him to do, because no one thought they could build a case until this 81-year-old guy, and he spent the whole time asking you about what the other doctor asked.
Yeah.
Weird.
You read the book.
Yeah. Well, you're E. Jean Carroll.
You read the book. I love it. You had that detail right there. Jesus Christ.
I think you are an absolute legend. I thought about this interview as much as I've thought about any interview for a very long time, because I think you are such an important person in our time, in this weird, fucked up timeline that we are in. You are one of the heroes here for taking this man on as publicly as you have over the things that you have. And it took you 25 years to build this amazing reputation. And he, amongst people who didn't know your work, has destroyed it in just a heartbeat. And I think that anyone who is able to go through that the way you are is a beacon of hope and a fountain of courage, unparalleled to anybody in our generation. And so, I read the book as much as I can.
Wow.
And I think that my daughters, I so hope my daughters will listen to this interview. They don't listen to a lot of my stuff, but I'm really hoping to get them, impress them, really.
I have one question to ask you.
On page 250.
Here's my question. How do you keep your teeth so white?
I bartered with a dentist.
You have very nice teeth.
I have one question for you. What is your age limit of dating? If you were to date, how young would you go?
Oh, well, somewhere just above college age.
Let's get back to the book, which is super important, and people are going to want to buy this. It's as good as anything. I mean,
what's the title of the book?
The title of your book?
Yeah. We forgot to mention.
Not My Type, One Woman versus a President.
Yeah, we forgot to mention it, and we both drew a blank.
I mentioned it in the intro, but also we should mention why you. But also, I probably will have a montage before the podcast version of this with him, Trump saying "Not my type."
Perfect.
Yeah,
that's great. That was a stunning moment. It was.
Yeah, I mean that you said before I hit record that you gave permission to Brave New Films and Mr. Greenwald to do a film bringing some very impressive actresses on to basically play the roles of you, Ellen Burstyn included. And I want to share that before the interview, but if people haven't seen it, they should go watch it because it sets up a conversation with you perfectly.
Yes.
It was heartbreaking also.
Oh, Ellen Burstyn. I cannot watch this 17-minute film without tears rolling down and getting the top of my shirt wet.
Why? How does it affect you when you rewatch it? So you do cry.
I cry at movies, but otherwise I don't. I cry at commercials.
Not at your life, though. Not at the shit that you've had to deal with over this.
Well, there was a moment in the first trial, when we had made it through my testimony. Mike Ferrara was the leader for our team, and he was taking me through my testimony. And he asked if I ever regretted bringing a suit. And I could feel the back of my throat going. And I knew my breath had left. And you can't talk if you don't have breath. And I could feel the two fat tears behind my eyeballs. I could feel their heat. And I swear to God, Pete,
she hung right up on me. When she hit the desk, she hung right up on me. She'll be back. She's going to come back in. That is hilarious. And a first. And only happens with E. Jean Carroll. I swear to God, Pete, she slams her desk and she's out of here. Her whole computer went off and left us on an unbelievable cliffhanger as to how she was feeling in that moment, which she describes in her amazing book, Not My Type. It's so good. She's going to be back. I'm not worried. But I got to say, here she is.
I just pounded on my desk. And
I vamped in such a professional way.
Oh, what did you say?
You'd have been so impressed. I said that you left us on this amazing, you literally pounded the desk and your computer went gone and you left us on this cliffhanger about how you were feeling in that moment with the tears welling up behind your ear in the trial when you were being asked this question. Yeah. Boom. And you were gone. But she's back.
And the tears just came flying out in the courtroom. And it was, boy, have you ever tried to get yourself back and gather yourself and stuff? It was, but I did it because Mike said, can you go on? And I thought, you bet I could go on. You can't shut me up. That's it. That was the one moment.
What was it that drove you through these trials? A lot of people think and have accused you of wanting the money. And it's not like I always say to people that it just can't be worth it because the threats that you get on your life and the way that it makes your life, it's not worth it. And I'm talking about actually forget that about a trial against the most powerful, famous man in the world. But like any woman that has to report their assault, especially if it's a public man, it goes public, much less in their own family. They've got to tell their family. And as you said about your family, we don't talk about the bad things. So what drove you through all of this? Because I know it wasn't the money. You want to give the money away to things that Trump hates, which I love.
Oh, boy. And we're going to get your opinion on what you think we should be giving the money
to. Well, give it to black people and women.
Women's reproduction, women's rights. I mean, they're just slowly being sucked out. Now I forget the question.
what drove you through all of it? Like, what kept you going? 2 trials, you had the mock trials, the whole thing. You had the best lawyers in the country.
Well, it's like the thing that kept me going was a deeply felt feeling of revenge. Really, that was it. But we don't talk about revenge in these things. We always try to talk about, speaking up for all women. It was a time to speak up. No, I felt I had reached the age of 75, and I thought, boy, if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. So I did it. And then at the age of 80, we got to trial, and we beat Trump twice.
One of the issues you and eventually your lawyers were concerned about was that no one would believe that this man assaulted this woman because you're older, and the assault happened in what year?
1996.
So you guys took that question on. Tell me about that.
Well, it was not just that it was that the jury would be looking at an elderly, desiccated old crone. Okay. They could not imagine Trump in any way being at all, because he's Trump. He's glorious. He's the handsomest man who has ever walked. So attractive. So they couldn't imagine. We had a mock jury session that lasted all day. The jurors agreed totally that 2 people could end up in a dressing room in Bergdorf's in 96. They agreed that, yes, something possible could have happened in the dressing room in 1996 in Bergdorf's. And yes, Donald Trump was one of the people in the dressing room in 96, and E. Jean Carroll was one of the people in the dressing room. But they disagreed about one thing, Pete. They thought, I wanted it. Why did they think that? Because I'm too ugly to attack. So we had to, look at my old talk show from 96, take some screenshots, do the exact hair, the exact makeup. I actually found the hairdresser and the makeup person, and we did my hair and makeup every day, exactly like I looked in 96. We didn't fool anybody. I mean, I'm still an elderly, old crone sitting in the jury box, but, looking at the jury. But at least we gave them an echo of 1996. So, and it was a trick, and it worked.
It worked. You did these mock trials. Tell us why you did those and what the outcome. That your lawyers thought they would be a good idea to get you ready for the actual trials. I didn't know that was a thing that.
Oh yeah, on big trials, mock trials are held so lawyers can see which of their arguments are working. And boy, did we find out our argument was not working. Our argument was, this is a Me Too case. This is for all women. We were all so liberal. Robbie Kaplan, who is the greatest legal mind of her generation, who is my attorney, one of the great civil rights attorneys in history.
Yeah.
She said, boy, were we dumb. We didn't even see it. That's how blind we are. We are blind to what people actually think is going on in this country. They don't care about Me Too. They care about what? They care about one man and one woman in the dressing room. That's all they care about. They don't care about all this stuff that, we thought they did. And so, boy, we changed the lead attorney to somebody really macho like Mike Ferrara, because we found out male jurors like a macho plaintiff attorney. So, yes, mock juries, mock trials, jury exercises go on in many of the big cases where lots of money is being spent. They don't want to waste their money, so they want to test their arguments. And it was a good thing we did, because we were way off. We just had to wake up. We were not aware of the gender divide. I mean, are you aware of the gender divide? I mean, you live in
on the opinions of the gender divide along vis-a-vis what?
Everything in the country. Everything.
Yeah, no, I think I talk about it with people who are kind of experts on it a lot. I don't know that they're right, but I certainly have a strong opinion of the gender divide, which is that we are a long way from any kind of gender equity among almost any metric from health to employment, except for education. Women seem to be doing better at higher education.
Yes. Yes.
But, I mean, much less believing men versus women in such situations, which is, I think, maybe specifically what we're talking about here.
Yeah. People don't believe women. It's just not a fact.
People don't believe women. They don't believe one woman. Sometimes they don't believe two women. But what kind of people don't believe dozens of women who accuse the same man of the same type of behavior over a certain period of time or a long period of time?
Some people believe them. They just don't care.
Yeah, right. That's true. That's so true. Yes. Yes, they don't care. So what happened in your case? Why?
They like it. They like to have a man who's so powerful he can take what he wants.
Oh, yeah.
You got that. Well, that's atavistic. People cannot help but feel that way. It's just where it's sort of ingrained in the human race to like a powerful man. It's not ingrained to like a powerful woman, but it's ingrained to like that powerful man.
You think that
powerful man?
But that's not all of us, right? Like, I think I'm attracted to and like both personally and, intimately and like powerful women. Like I think it's like a lot of people think that it's good, right? Or just not most people, not most Americans. No, you don't think any of us?
And I can't say it's.
I like a woman who tells me what to do and slaps me silly. Is that too much to reveal?
Oh, God. I'd love to meet your daughters. How are they? What are they?
Powerful.
How are they?
Oh, my God. I'm writing a book. I'm working on a book. Been working on it forever for men raising daughters.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It's a how to raise independent, confident daughters, but it's not from my point of view. It's from me. I interview women about their fathers, good or bad. So I want you.
Good.
You like this idea?
I like it.
It's not about what men think. It's about what the women I interview, who I consider. So that's my only opinion in the book, I guess, is I think you're a strong, confident woman. And for men who want to raise strong, confident women, what are the things that we should do or shouldn't do? Because a lot of dads did the wrong thing. What about your dad?
Well, wait a minute. You know who's going to buy your book?
Hopefully men with daughters. But
No. Women are going to buy your book and they're going to give it to their husbands.
Okay. Fair enough.
I think that's your audience.
Cool.
It's a great idea.
Thank you. Coming from you, that means a lot. But what?
Yeah, give me that thing. I'll give you a big fat blurb on the back.
Well, I would really appreciate that, but what I would appreciate more is including you in the book. So the question to you is, you're this person. People know you, and whatever their opinion is about you, what was your relationship like with your dad? What kind of dad was he to you?
He was a great dad. An ice skating champion, very gentle. Everybody's read Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. He's like Mr. Bennet in the book. He's gentle, quiet, very funny, very witty, always there, came home every night, had cocktails with my mother. Always we sat around the dinner table. He encouraged us to be funny and to laugh. It was, he's very a great dad.
One of the things I think about with parenting in general is the things they say versus the things they do. I realize that my daughters, when I gave my daughters all my most famous, thoughtful, brilliant lectures and pieces of advice, I would always check in with them about a minute in, like, when did I lose you? Because they're not paying attention. But they're always watching you. Do you agree?
He took me hunting. We went when I was like 14. We'd be driving somewhere to a track meet or something. He'd say, "Here, take the wheel." Stuff like that. Just important, not make it a big thing. Just here, take, because he believed that I would have that was scary because come on, the family was in the back seat and I got,
that is, that's crazy. He was, I liked it up until then. He's like, he's forcing you to take the wheel literally. And he's like, yeah, but there was a baby on the roof. So it wasn't that safe. So getting back to your book, Not My Type, which everybody should buy. It seems like everybody is buying it. It delves into both of your lawsuits, but yet there's a lot in the book, I'm told, that we don't already know and that you couldn't put in the book. Give me some of it.
Oh, well, we had some evidence that we could not present to the jury in the first trial. For instance, Michael Wolff, who wrote Fire and Fury about the president, he wrote a book called Too Famous, and he had, I believe, hundreds of hours, but that sounds like too much. So let's say scores of hours with Jeffrey Epstein. And he happened to get Jeffrey Epstein on the phone talking to somebody, telling them that he had run into Trump right after the event in Bergdorf's in 96, and Trump regaled him all the details of the assault. So that was, we couldn't use it. You know why?
Why?
Robbie Kaplan decided just the two words, Jeffrey Epstein, were so inflammatory. Judge Kaplan would never consider it. You didn't even want to go in front of Judge Kaplan, who's very conservative. He's like God on the Sistine Chapel ceiling. I mean, terrifyingly conservative, by the book, no nonsense. You don't take Jeffrey Epstein to Judge Kaplan. So we lost that. There was also
you left that piece of evidence behind. You didn't use that.
Yeah, we didn't use it. Then Sean G. Crowley, one of my great
lawyer. She's very impressive. Yeah.
And a beauty and a fabulous woman and fantastic.
I'm not going to say I noticed.
She during a break, she tried to really sneak in. This is an end run by Sean G. Crowley. During break, she said, Judge Kaplan, we have an issue we'd like to have you consider. He asked her what it was. She said, we have something we'd like to introduce into evidence for the jury. He said, what is it? She said, it's a book, Your Honor, that Donald Trump wrote. He said, well, what is it? And she said, it has his shopping tips for buying gifts in Bergdorf's in it.
Wow.
And
well, he said he never went in there. It's worth mentioning. He didn't remember ever going there.
He wrote a book about it. So Judge Kaplan said, you actually think that Trump wrote those books that he put his name to? So because we couldn't prove that Donald Trump physically wrote the book, which we would never be able to prove, that was not it. But one of the most conclusive, which my whole team said this would have won the case, was a Nell Scoville, back in the day, wrote a piece for Spy Magazine. Spy Magazine was Graydon Carter's first big magazine in New York. It was just the funniest, wittiest magazine ever, probably in the history of American magazine. And the solid journalism in it is why the magazine really worked. And Nell Scoville wrote a piece about lunchtime romance in New York. And it named the 4 or 5 places where New Yorkers sneak off to have little, as we used to say, nooners. And on the list, Bergdorf's changing room. And who was on the cover?
Donald Trump was on the cover, and it's a huge piece of evidence as to everything. There's just so much. There's so much that if you pay close attention to your case, what you've said, even if the objective reporting of it, and then you consider obviously how he has done this, accused of doing this to so many other women, and then of course admitted it on tape, and everybody knows who the man is. No one should be shocked or surprised that it happened exactly the way that you painstakingly have shared with us publicly.
Well, we were glad to get the Nell Scoville thing. It was too late to get it in trial because the trial was going on, but because we had, the team had talked to several people who said, yes, everybody knows this goes on in Bergdorf's. It's not a secret, but we couldn't get anybody to come into trial and testify to that.
What was it like? People always talk about how hard it is for the victims of any crime, much less sexual assault, to testify against the person who did it to them. And it must have been so hard for you. Or what was it like for you to sit in that courtroom with him? Wasn't he there a lot? Weren't you both in the same room?
He was always there. It was great. Let me tell you, I am Think of the millions. Wouldn't you love to sit down in court and tell Donald Trump to his face exactly what you
He
think?
didn't insult me. I was on The Apprentice, though.
What?
I was on The Apprentice in 2004, and they asked me, I was doing comedy, and they hired us, and they asked us in 2004, this is my only story, the producer said, Mr. Trump will be here soon. Would you guys like to meet him? And I looked around, and I said, does he want to meet us? And they said, not necessarily, but we can arrange a meeting. At that point, in 2004, I knew he was an awful man to women. That was I was like, I don't want to meet that creep in 2004. And I didn't, but I used him for that show, or NBC for that show. But when you say, how would I feel? I mean, he didn't assault me.
Yeah, but it was, yes, it was terrifying for the first 20, 30 seconds. Terrifying. But we had been, listen, so close. I've said this before. I could reach out, and if I bent, I could grab him by his hair. That's how close we were. I mean, it was astonishingly close. I could hear everything he was saying. And so, yes. But with me, it's not mental. If I thought about it, I wouldn't have had the courage. But it's just, if I stand up, just physical. It's my being able to testify was physical, because I could stand up and walk to the goddamn chair and sit down, turn around and face him. That's really, once I had done that, it was over, because then I was loaded and ready to go. But that was it. Yeah. Oh, I was glad. Oh, hello.
There's you in the book. I'm just putting it up.
Love it.
Everybody's got to get it. It's so good. You're so good. You're such an important person in these times, what you've done, what you've accomplished. You haven't gotten any of the money yet. And some people might think, well, then you haven't won, or he's won. I don't think that way. I think that you've won in all of the ways that matter. But will you see the money ever?
Oh, yeah. Robbie Kaplan. Oh, God. She tore the roof. She took the roof of the United States Courts of Appeal and just lifted it off and threw it into space. She just demolished his arguments. He keeps appealing. She and I keep winning. So when he is done exhausting his appeals, and he only has one more, then he will probably go to the Supreme Court. And I don't know, which nobody knows. Will they take a case where the president is liable for sexual abuse? Not a great thing to do. And they've got a lot to do. They have to go on tearing to shreds democracy. So they have many things to do. So, yes, he's almost out. And then I'm giving the money away to everything he hates, every single thing he hates. I'm going to give it to him because he loves his money so much.
Yeah.
So let's just give it to things he hates.
What do you think of people referring to him as a rapist? Do you think that's a legally or culturally appropriated term? Think it's right?
It's legally in New York. New York, actually, after the trial, New York State passed a bill saying that what he did was actually rape. But at the time, the unanimous jury decided it was not, that it was sexual abuse. So I'll go with the unanimous jury. You know, they are the ones who listened to it and they decided. So let's just keep it on the legal terms. They heard the case. They knew what he did. And yeah, I'm glad they decided.
Let me just ask you finally, what are you scared of? What are you afraid of? You're living up there. You just did a shoot for New York Magazine, an interview. There's a picture of you holding a shotgun. You learned how to shoot a shotgun recently. Like, what are you, like, what role does fear play in your life? What animates your fear, if you have it?
Well, fear, I have to go. I'm done with that. I'm done with that kind of thing. I don't think about it. Robbie Kaplan made sure I have wall to wall, round the clock, complete 24-hour. If anybody so much as blinks at my house, the police arrive. No, there's all sorts of alarms and everything. Did you see the dogs walking through?
I saw one of them. I didn't know there was, but I mean, that's great. I love to hear it.
Look at the size of that dog. There she is. I mean, she wears more than you do. Look at this. So so we have dogs and I have a shotgun.
but I just adore you. But the fear, I love that. I love that answer. Good. You're done with it. And what is the secret to your health, your longevity?
The brain diet.
What's that?
Well, first of all, I'm sitting on a ball, so okay. I'm constantly moving. No, brain diet. I'm sure you do the same. Leafy greens, nuts, berries, beans, whole grains. That's it. I don't eat crap.
I don't know why you're sharing that you would assume that I am as healthy, but I appreciate it. Well, so you don't eat meat?
No.
Oh, look at you. Do you drink much?
I have a glass of wine a day. Yeah. Sometimes I forget though to have the wine. And then somebody on, Twitter calls me a drunk and I think, I better go have a glass of wine.
I think that means you don't have a problem if you forget.
Yeah. No. You eat meat?
I do. Yeah, I don't have the healthiest diet. I don't have a terribly unhealthy diet. I don't eat a lot, but I need to do better. I'm 49. I got to do better.
Oh, 49. Oh, my God. Think how young that is.
I don't know. It's all perspective, I think.
You're a young man of 49, out and ready to go.
Well, we'll see. I was ready to go for you, hopefully, today, and I was so grateful that you were able to join me. I hope that everybody goes and gets the book because it is so good. And I laughed so hard at it. I'm going to say it, but I also learned a lot. And I hope everybody reads it, buys it.
You know what?
Work.
Your interview was so good. You're very good at this. I'm going
to put that on.
Entertaining, very engaging, highly enlightening, right? Highs and lows, tragic and comedy. No, this is a good interview.
What an endorsement.
Dude, you got the endorsement.
I'm elated. I'm going to go get a rubber ball. I'm going to do all the rest of my interviews on a rubber ball for the rest of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, get a big one, though. Don't sit on one of the little ones where you put your knees up to your chest. You got it.
I've got one. I really do have one. I'll show it to you. All right, I'm going to hit end on this. I'm going to hit end on this and share it with everybody. Thank you so much, E. Jean Carroll. You are a living legend, but stay here with me. And there you have it, E. Jean Carroll. So nice to me. And after I press stop, even more kind to come to me. So very happy to have her joining me, and I'd love it if you went and subscribed to her Substack or mentioned on Blue Sky or wherever she is, all the links to the show notes where she is, that you enjoyed her here. And I'd love your feedback as well. I hope you like that. And I can't do it without you. Patreon.com/Dominic. And you can support the show there. Okay. Also on Substack. YouTube. That's it. I'll talk to you tomorrow with another great guest. Karen Elliott House is going to be my next guest. She's the author of The Man Who Would Be King about Mohammed bin Salman and the transformation of Saudi Arabia. Fascinating conversation. Learned a lot from her. And listeners who watched it live really enjoyed that one as well. But that's it for now. John Carroll taking us out as he does every day. Go buy, download his new album at johncarroll.org and take care of yourself. Okay. Boy, you better stand up. Well, there's a whole lot more of us who know us right. They'll keep right on ignoring us if we keep sitting tight. You got to open up the window to let in some light. You got